then we have other staff will come in there. We'll have a security person, we'll have a driver with them, and they are going to be based down there with you. At the secretariat, I have Martin Karamagi, is our finance person. Susan Owino is Lake Mburonda, Nakivale wetland system. Others are not here. Perhaps we'll get introduced to them as they come.
I'm a student, but I'm now transiting to UNFPA soon in a few weeks' time. Thank you.
Chris Bakuneta, I'm the Vice Chair of Uganda Wildlife Society.
Okay, we skip you, and because we have introduced you, so please.
Yes, thank you.
Between Buliisa district and Uganda Wildlife Society. We hope to finish this meeting by 12 because we are supposed to catch up with other stakeholders at the Imperial Royal Hotel in town for lunch.
In Buliisa for Sustainable Natural Resource Management, and that's also the title of the project that we shall be implementing in the district for the next 3.5 years. So, what is UWES and what do we do? Uganda Wildlife Society initially was part of the East African Wildlife Society Uganda chapter until 1998, when it became Uganda Wildlife Society. And it is having layers of administration and governance, starting with the General Assembly, which is the top decision-making organ. And the General Assembly includes the members and project partners, the donors that sit in the General Assembly once in a year to make decisions and policies for running the society. Then below the General Assembly is the Executive Committee, and that is the committee which guides the operations of the Secretariat. Below the Executive Committee is the Secretariat, which is headed by the Executive Secretary, as you have been introduced. Currently, our Secretariat has 9 full-time members of staff, and we also have 4 university interns, and you could have seen them as you are getting to this place. They were the ones helping us to usher in the participants. And overall, statistically, 54% of our staff are female. Then when we look at membership, we have over 300 duly registered members. So we basically promote conservation of wildlife and environment through research, advocacy, policy, influence. And we have several projects tagged along those themes. And our activities are supported by donors and the members through their membership fees. Now, briefly, the Ecosystem Alliance project is actually part of a program which is funded by the Global Ecosystem Alliance. And the Global Ecosystem Alliance includes Wetland International, both ends, and the World Conservation Union of the Netherlands, with the main aim of promoting green economy and also ensuring the sustainability of livelihood, ecosystems, people, and also mitigation of the impacts of climate change. Now, in Uganda, the Ecosystem Alliance program is funding 3 NGOs, and they include Uganda Wildlife Society, the National Association of Professional Environmentalists, that is NAPE, and also AFIEGO. AFIEGO is Africa Institute for Energy Governance. And we are implementing all the projects in the Albertine Rift. And the projects are geared towards sustainable natural resource management. We are focusing on the Albertine Rift because it's a biodiverse hotspot. a majority of plant, bird, and mammal species are there in the Albertine Rift. And even about 79 species that are globally threatened are there in the Albertine Rift, meaning it's an ecologically a fragile ecosystem. That's why we are focusing our interventions there. Because there are a lot of practices there that are now endangering, that are making it, the ecosystem, quite unsustainable. For instance, overfishing in the Lake Albert, the over livestock grazing, which is actually threatening the soils and the water catchments, and also over extraction, extractive use of forests and other resources in the area. So that's why we are mainly focusing in the Albertine Rift. And UWS will implement this project in Buliisa district. NAPE will be working in Kamwenge, Kasese, in the Mount Rwenzori area. Then Afiego will concentrate in Hoima. So our project is empowering communities in Buliisa district for sustainable natural resource management. The objectives are about 8, but I'll talk mainly about the 5. 1 is to promote sustainable land management, at least among 830 farmers. Then to ensure sustainable fishery resource use by the beach management units and at least 3 fishing communities in the district. Then we're also going to advocate for negotiated access to some of the protected areas, because Buliisa has a Bugungu Wildlife Reserve. It also has part of the Machishon Falls National Park, and then 51% of the district is actually Budongo Central Forest Reserve. So that's why we have partners here representing NFA, representing UA, so that we can negotiate with them for sustainable use of these resources so that the community can own and also participate in conservation. Then we're also going to build the capacity and to equip at least 3 local civil society organizations in the district so that they can actually improve their operations with the local communities so that we sustain the ecosystem. Then we are going to influence policy. The district has ordinances. The last time I had a chat with the chairman and COW. But also we need to talk to the sub-county and also the local, the LOC ones and other decision and policy-making organs so that as they make policies, they should be environmentally conscious. As they pass budgets, they should be giving at least a better portion to natural resource management. So, our implementation strategy, who are the people we are going to work with and what will be their roles? So we are going to work with other civil society organizations. For instance, the World Conservation Union is actually very strong in RED, and they have a wide span of time that they have spent while implementing RED projects. Because RED is reducing emissions from forest degradation and deforestation. That is part of our components in this project. So we shall work with them based on our work plan, and also we'll draft a memorandum of understanding with them so that from time to time they can help us probably train and give some equipment that can help and also promote technologies in the district. Then we are going to partner with the resource managers such as Uganda Wildlife Authority, the National Forest Authority, and others so that they can be facilitators. They can also help us to introduce some technologies geared toward sustainable access and utilization of some of the resources in the protected areas. And that we shall work using memoranda of understanding, work plans, and where necessary, agreements. And the same applies to resource users. The fishermen, the pastoralists, the crop farmers, those involved in oil exploration activities, we work with them based on the agreements or work plans, so, because they are the ones that will be working during the implementation of the project. They will be the ones that will be testing the technologies that we shall develop. We'll also work with the oil companies, because part of the themes of the Ecosystem Alliance program is greening the economy. So we'll look at if they are complying to their social and environmental responsibilities, and if they are also promoting environmental and community development practices. So, and we shall do that through MOUs, work plans, and agreements. Then the local government. Buliisa local government is actually the most represented in this meeting because they are the ones going to host us. They are the ones going to give us guidance, and they know the terrain of the district more than us. So they will be facilitators and also enforcing and formulating policies and also monitoring the project activities as we implement it. And by the MOU work plan, they will also be giving us minutes of their monitoring and also giving us reports. And we'll be implementing joint activities with them towards the sustainability of the environment. Then the national government, the line ministries, other agencies like NEMA and others, and the Uganda Climate Change Unit will be also facilitating some of the climate change initiatives we shall start, and also formulating policies. At the national level, it also includes the parliament, the parliamentary committee on climate change, and also the committee on environment, so that they can take some of the research findings to the floor of parliament for debate. And we'll engage them through reports, minutes, and also through some joint monitoring and evaluation. Then, as I introduced earlier, that this project, this program in Uganda is implemented by a consortium of 3 NGOs. So we'll work with our consortium partners such as NAPE and AFIEGO. They will also facilitate some of the activities and help us in monitoring and evaluating. And we'll also be learning what they are doing in the other districts such as Kasese and Hoima. Then, as I introduced earlier, after the Secretariat, we have the Executive Committee, which is headed by Dr. Tukahira. So the Executive Committee will help us in lobbying for more funding, in lobbying for policy and other issues as we implement this project. And they will be facilitators in some of the workshops. And after they've done that, the binding documents will be the minutes of those meetings, and also our work plan, then the reports of their outputs, and policies that guide the implementation of the project. Actually, based on the National Development Plan, which Uganda is currently implementing, it's from 2010-11 to 2014-15 financial years. So the National Development Plan emphasizes the sustainability of fragile ecosystems as we develop the country. Then the National Biodiversity Management and Action Plan spells out the conditions, the projects that should be implemented in the Albertine Rift so that the biodiversity there is sustained. Also, the National Forest and Tree Planting Act stipulates some initiatives such as tree planting, conservation, and many others. The Uganda Wildlife Act, the National Environment Policy, the National Forestry Policy, all these talk about conservation in the country. Then the Buliisa District Development Plan also is very strong on conservation. The Uganda Wildlife Society Strategic Plan, which we are still developing, is also promoting some of the activities, and most of them that this project is all about. Our project is actually emphasizing that we implement this in Buliisa. Then we conducted recently, and it was done by a team of consultants, and they did a very good job. They gave us actually the baseline information. What percentage of the Buliisa population is involved in pastoralism, fishing, crop farming. And all that information is now very important for us. We know which sub-counties to go to. For instance, the baseline showed us that Ingwedo is a food basket in the Buliisa district. So when we are going now to start this project, to implement it there, we know exactly where fish farming is, where so many landing sites are concentrated, and the percentages of people. So we know whom to consult at the inception of the project. So our timelines, this project started in February 2012, but there were a lot of other activities. Then there was also a baseline study which was conducted in March. Then there was also a staff recruitment where I came on board with my other colleagues. We were here to recruit the project driver and the office security guard. Then the national launch, which we are having today. Then after the national launch, we are going to the district to have the district launch. And at the district level, we are going to bring on board even some representatives of the pastoralists, the beach management units, the crop farmers, those from the oil companies, and the workers there, because this will be our members in implementation. Then we're also going to validate the baseline study report. The baseline just gave us percentages. It was showing 62% is doing fishing. But we are going to do a thorough study on ground and find out what do people want us to address first, and how should we do it? Because we shouldn't just go there and give them things the way we perceive, but we need to go and find out from them how they have been coping with, say, climate change, and how we can come in to help them. And also at the district level, the district may also be having its pressing issues that they want us to address first, and that's how we shall continue. After we've got that information, and we expect that validation to take place between June and July, we would have ranked the priorities of the district, the priorities of pastoralists, oil companies, so that we can start our interventions between August and November for this year. Then from December, we can start monitoring what we have done within this year. But the project will continue running for the next 3.5 years, up to around 2015. So thank you so much.
Right, thank you very much.
Basically, your host. So very, very welcome.
Thank you very much, Okror.
IUCN Netherlands Committee, the Dutch. I promised two things. One is that there will be total transparency in the usage of the money. And two, that there will be value for money. In other words, that when I go to Buliisa, I'll be able to identify what it is that the money has done. And similarly, when the Dutch come, because they will come, they will also see the same thing. So I thought I should say that to you and Priscilla and our colleagues from Buliisa, that we want total transparency in the usage of the money, and we want to see results. I'm sure even our colleagues from Buliisa,
First and foremost, I would like to inform you that this is just an extract of the main budget for the purposes of the district. Because much as this transparency, we felt that the entire budget was not necessary. But we extracted what majorly will be at the district level. And as my colleague has already informed you, as part of the facilitation, fees, that's why we thought that the district will come in. We've already been explained to that the whole project has 8 major objectives, and within those objectives there are activities. So under each activity, for instance, activity 1.1 was carrying out a baseline survey, and the budget on that was 9.3 million. And that one was implemented by the entire consortium. The next activity is developing tools, and objective 1, developing tools and methodologies, and promoting sustainable land management practices, but targeting household activities. So we feel that whoever will facilitate that activity, especially the district steering committee will be entitled to 330,000. And if it comes to monitoring and evaluation by the EXCOM, they will be earning 500,000. 330,000 is not the entire budget. Of course, there will be other items like per diems if you are part of the activity. But the facilitation is what amounts to 330. So likewise, all those activities under objective 1. And there are 5 activities. The rate will be 330,000 for the facilitation by the district steering committee. The next objective
to train. We are not going to, let's say, okay, UWS staff or EXCOM or consultants know everything. We appreciate that you're technical, you know these things, you can do them while you're facilitating. So should you come to train farmers, you will be given 350,000 per day. That is what that budget means. Should you come to monitor as an RDC or LC5 chairperson for an activity, which is because we have work plans running every month, you can participate. So should you come to participate as in M&E, monitoring and evaluation, which is tied to our executive committee or the district stakeholders like the RDC, the chairperson, and the CAO, those technical officials who come in to monitor, should you come in a day, that was the facilitation as it is budgeted in the approved project plan. So maybe just a summary, and that's what he wants to say is, Paul said we have about 8 objectives. The first one is sustainable water and land. Sustainable land and water resource use and management. The second one is we want to bring about, of course, under sustainable land and water resource use and management, we want to bring about sustainable practices among at least 833 farming households. So those 833 farming households could be fisher folk, they could be crop farmers, they could be pastoralists. And so should we say that today we are going to do something with the fisher folk, we go to the fisheries officer or the beach management unit people. Should we say we are going to farmers who expect to use an agricultural officer? Should we say we are going to the pastoralists, we expect somebody who is technical in the district on that. So they come and get, for that day of training or promoting a certain technology, we'll have identified, they get that facilitation. Now in the second objective, we expect to bring about sustainable land and water resource use among in 750 hectares of privately owned land. These are not farming households, could be ranchers, people who, individuals who hold large pieces of land. We recognize that sustainable practices in those small people, small holders, individuals who hold large chunks of land also add up to ecosystem health. You know, if they don't have sustainable practices there will be problems with ecosystems, and that means unsustainability for livelihoods. So we'll be promoting certain technologies among those individuals who hold large chunks of land. Where there are kingdom officials, we'll get to them. But when we get to them, the same, the technical officials from the district will come along with us. In other words, we are going to work together in all of them. So in the third objective, where we have, we plan to, if you go down, we are expecting to build the capacity of civil society organizations based in the district to help communities engage in red opportunities. So we are going to train at least 3 CSOs who are based on Buliisa, and these will work as change agents. And when they work with us, we train them, we build their capacity, then they can engage more community members, whether they are farmers. And then the other objective, we expect to engage the oil developers In other words, we want community participation in all development. So at the moment, we recognize that the communities say, at least according to the baseline, they are not engaged. They don't know what TALO is doing. They don't want to bring them at a round table to negotiate. But as a civil society, UWS is going to, kind of bring the two in a round table and say, okay, how can we have Buliisa communities actively engaged in the oil developments taking place? Can they benefit from the developments? And then can they work together with the oil companies, for example, to monitor compliance to environmental impact assessments and things like that? And then the other objective is actually to build the capacity of UWS as a conservation organization. And under this, when you get to the project document which we give you, you'll see that the project has actually done for us certain institutional, should I say, improvements. We've got furniture, we've got a vehicle for this project, we have got things to do with computers, and that was building our capacity to work with you in this conservation engagement, and of course influencing national policies. We are going to learn lessons from Buliisa, which will feed into the policy making organs like parliamentarians and government officials whom we have here, for example, or then they can actually take in some of the lessons we learn to formulate or upgrade some of the policies that are being applied to natural resource management in Uganda. And so the issue here of presenting this simple one, which the accountant has said is an extract from the actual budget, is when you come to facilitate, what are you getting? When you come to monitor and evaluate, what are you getting? And in any way, we have engaged you in all the activities planned under the project. So when we're talking about the district steering committee, which is down that table, we expect that today we have a good representation of that committee, and it's upon you who have come here today to tell us that our district steering committee will be composed of this and this and this and this person, and the lead person will be this individual. So every time you're planning an activity where you need us, this is the contact person, and this is the way we should go. So basically that's it. So maybe there, if you need the entire project, like Chairman said, we need transparency, we have the documents, and it's going to be an attachment to the MOU that we will sign.
Good, thank you.
Half years is 200,000 euros for UWS component, which is about 600 million in total. For the first year, we are using about 300 million, and our first year started in February, and it should be ending in December. So we are rushing to start up activities, Yeah.
And of course,
Yes. Yes, and it has part of it will remain here. Some of it goes into staff salaries. We have 4 full-time staff to go down there, and that some of that money will go in there. So you really have access to the project document. I don't see a problem why you shouldn't see the entire thing. And maybe because our consortium representatives are also here, partners, even when our consortium members come and they are represented, if they facilitate, they will also get the same amount that we have displayed there. If they are just participants, we have also a certain budget attached to that. So for me, I saw the project is well designed in a way that in order to participate, you will be facilitated. Yes, and why we need district participation so much, because it's a sustainability issue. After 3.5 years, what happens? We are going to get away, but the district will have to still continue working with communities to sustain the technologies and the developments we will have brought in. Yeah. So really, it's not UWS thing, but Buliisa thing. Livelihoods of the Buliisa people, capacity of the Buliisa technical officials, and development facilitators. Yeah.
good, thank you. Now we can take comments. The donor considers the project to have been a success. Then usually they are encouraged.
Remember, we sat down and came up with this proposal. Now we are giving it to you. As the project gets implemented, we may even identify other areas which you think we should have addressed, which we didn't capture. So at the end is when the donor comes to evaluate value for money, it is at that level that we can be able to say, we think this has worked out well, but we could also add in this. And the donor in most cases is always very willing. It is only when he discovers that the project has not been successfully done as it is stated here. That's when the problem comes in. Otherwise, the donor can stay for more than 10 years in that area when the performance is good. And as Priscilla said, the performance cannot be so good when the people in Buliisa
are not participating.
Chair, we should have global initiative, which is actually new. So they are testing out methodologies and approaches, see if they work or not. Now, what is going to happen is we are going to be learning lessons in the process of implementation. We will be documenting and sharing this within the global global program setting. Now, depending on, as you said, if we identify new innovations that we may not be able to implement under the current budget, because it's not too much money anyway, we cannot do everything. We would package those and reflect and say, these are things we would have wanted to do in addition to what we're able to implement. And we justify them, as kind of demand-driven from the stakeholders on the ground. And I'm sure they will be able to.
So I hope, as far as this the project's proposal took into account literature review of similar projects. So, since we are all learning, we would like such details to be available to us so that we could be comparing it in order that we are participants whose input would strengthen the objectives of this project.
Yes, right.
As she has said, lady.
Being post-project.
Yes, of
So
course.
with that, I think that's very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Current donors. I think there are many other development partners and other people outside there who can also come to help support some of the things the project will have started. But however, that will depend on how successful those components will be implemented. So therefore, in terms of sustainability, I think we need to be a little bit broad so that we're not only looking at IUCA, Netherlands, and Situated International, all those partners who have come to help to support the initiative.
Yeah.
So far acted upon, and how much may be from the 300 million from federal to date? That's a question we expect to get the year.
The component of capacity building Uganda Wildlife Society, whereby and now we are presenting that baseline and we are launching the field activities. But we are also today doing stakeholder mobilization for project startup. And so those are, to me, the major activities which we have done. Of course, plus securing the funds into our account. That is also something achieved. So we, yes.
And you forgot the most expensive item. We ordered a car.
Yes.
Which cost almost 100 million. And you'll be coming down to Buliisa. So.
Yes. And you also that will be part of your monitoring to see that that car is actually doing ecosystem alliance activities with communities. So the forestry officer is free to say, hey, you're using this car for felling charcoal, you should be big.
But it is for his use.
RDC. Yes. Oh yeah. It's a national society or association. So any member,
any person interested in conservation of environment and wildlife in Uganda is welcome. And you can join under any CSO, CBO in this case, who's doing things related to what we want to do, so that we just build their capacity to do it better. That was the criteria, but that's the criteria we're going to use to choose the three. For example, we are going to target having Buliisa communities participate in RED activities, RED strategies in Uganda, including benefits if there are any. Now we will look at among the CSOs operating here, who is working actively on RED issues. We are looking at fisher folk communities, which CBO has been deeply involved with the fishing communities.
Passing the success of the project, so it is still open to state any proposal. Otherwise, the proposals are okay. A, B, C, D. Because what we want is the success of the project.
When we have our office in Buliisa, it should actually act as who may not be able to come to pay their membership and the secretariat.
Yeah, this is the one area of mobilization because the Buliisa community wildlife, even more attached than others who may not have even sighted one. So I think it's good that that door is still open.
Supported not of that.
Good. We have nuts and don't have milk. We have sugar.
I know you don't milk your animals.
That's what I was thinking also.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, okay, very good. We are going to adjust that then before we sign it. Okay, that's one of the quick comments. Thank you, Bwana Chairman. So,
You know, you should have a hand copy where you make notes. Otherwise, you won't remember.
8 Masindi, is that right? 228 Masindi. Okay. Then represented by, we hope those names are correct.
Absolutely correct.
And also in the protocol, is it Cow who represents or Chairman? Fine.
It's okay, Cow.
Oh. Tell us why you need an MOU.
Binding document. Between the two parties.
Whom do you want to bind and why?
Okay. So an MOU is actually a memorandum of understanding between two or more parties. So this is a memorandum of understanding between UWS and Buliisa District Local Government. We need to come together in this document because it is stipulating the roles of either parties and also the shared roles and what happens if there is a disagreement, what happens if there is need for succession. For instance, if Cow is transferred to another area, how do we ensure smooth succession and the continuity of the project? And then how do we own? Who owns the outputs of this, of the project? How do we use some of the things like logos and all that? That's why we need an MOU. And also, what do we intend to achieve? The MOU puts to the ground the objectives of these interventions and the modes of operation.
And I don't want to sound, but for purposes of protocol,
Yes.
when you are addressing Buliisa District Local Government,
Yes.
the first citizen is the district chairperson.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
It's okay. Then followed by
The president.
and then the chief administrative officer.
District chairperson.
Hmm?
How
We say the district chairperson.
We say we say district chairperson. Actually, local government LOC 5 does not exist. Either
To be prudent also to put the population.
Okay.
Yeah, population you are going to work.
The project steering committee, abbreviated as DSC. Then Uganda Wildlife Society is UWS. So we'll jointly ensure that the activities.
why haven't you put there P?
District, okay. Yeah. Then it will be for both UWS and Buliisa District Local Government. Then we'll also recognize that this MOU is geared towards environmental sustainability, and the two parties will cooperate to ensure that there is harmony in the implementation of the project.
I was seeing where there is the true